Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Mini Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. Now, despite the order I uploaded them in, this guy actually came before my Optimus. But I was a lot more happy with how this build turned out than I was with Prime, so I figured I'd save my favorite for second. Of course, here he is in his tank mode, which isn't perfectly accurate. There are quite a few details missing. For example, if you come around to the back, you can see there aren't any jet engines. He's supposed to have two main ones here, and little pods on the side here with two in each pod. But unfortunately, I just couldn't fit those details in. And speaking of the back, he does end up with a pretty substantial bit of kibble there hanging off the back. But all in all, I still think this is a decent little tank mode, and I think it's fairly accurate to the on-screen model. Taking a look at the front of the tank, you can see that the turret is able to hinge up and down, and once it's out of the way, the head is clearly visible there, where it is meant to be in this mode. Though, of course, it is kind of oriented wrong. He really should have his face facing forward, though here that's actually the top of his head facing towards the front of the tank. But I just wasn't able to have it hinge up, and honestly I think at this scale it looks perfectly fine this way. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Mini Optimus. That's really all there is to say about this mode, so it's time to transform. And here we have Megatron in his robot mode, and I think that this is the mode where he really shines. I think this build really effectively captures the design at a very small scale. While there definitely are details missing, I think this is very recognizable as Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. Taking a look from the back, you can see he actually does have a little bit of kibble. The tank cannon hangs off his back, and the rear treads end up on the backs of his ankles. They are supposed to be there, but they aren't in the correct position to form his heel spurs. Ultimately, I don't find either bit of kibble really all that offensive. Taking a closer look at Megatron, you can see I've used the older style of clip tile for his head. The newer kind has a smaller, more rounded clip, and I just don't think it looks any good when used as the head for a Transformer, so I went for the thicker and just nicer looking older variant. Then taking a look at the arms, obviously I've made them asymmetrical as they are meant to be for this design. I've used a little droid arm here to represent his skinny arm, and then on the larger arm I have this slope here to represent the spike on his shoulder, and a tooth piece to represent his lobster claw. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to feature a second spike here to complete the claw, but I think at this scale it captures the look decently. The feet were the first thing I came up with for this build, and I'm super happy with how they turned out. You can see there is actually the split between the toes like there's supposed to be. Unfortunately, there is no heel spur, which he is supposed to have. These treads back here would ideally fold down to form a heel, but I really don't think it looks that bad without it. Especially at this scale, you kind of barely notice it. For articulation, Megatron's head can look left and right, though you're mostly just turning the top of his forehead. The stud will more or less stay in place. At each arm he has a forward shoulder joint and a inward elbow joint. There is the transformation hinge here, which can be kind of used, but it's best to just keep it locked up in this position. Then at the legs, he's able to kick forward and back, as well as in and out. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Optimus Prime. I'm really happy with how this little build turned out, especially since I originally only built it on a whim as an accessory to go with another build. But you'll have to wait till next week to see what I built him for. So, I'll see you next time.